I was woken up by the tiny whining noise of a mosquito in my ear, and judging by the dried blood on my arm, it had already fed. Now, I'm no stranger to mosquito bites. I grew up in northern Illinois. We have a lot of them there. It's very humid during the summer. But this particular bite was a bit different because I was in the slums of Nairobi in Kenya. Now, I knew that the odds of me contracting malaria were pretty slim. I was taking prophylactic drugs at the time, but it was still a tremendously centering experience, especially since I'd only been in country for about 6 hours. I spent the next 3 weeks moving through Nairobi and western Kenya in the rural parts. I slept under a bed net when I could, but otherwise let myself open to more bites. Later that summer, I returned to East Africa, to Tanzania, where I participated in a training course for community-based healthcare. As I interviewed doctors and people who were recovering from malaria and folks who had had the disease more times than they could count, literally, the consensus to me seemed to be that malaria was something that had always been with us and that would always be with us. One doctor I spoke to said that malaria was like a runny nose. It was something that everyone got. It was a fact of life. And malaria stopped being an abstract concept for me. It wasn't just this creepy tropical disease that existed way over there. It was something that I could see under a microscope, something that I understood. A tiny little parasite carried by a mosquito that still managed to sicken hundreds of millions of people every year and kill around 1 million too. At the same time, I learned that malaria is completely preventable. It's treatable. Bed nets and insecticide spraying can get rid of the mosquitoes. And I understood that malaria doesn't always have to be with us. And that someday people will say, oh yeah, malaria, that's a disease that we used to die from. We don't anymore. There's no reason why it should be as common as a runny nose.